Okay, Jacob, you are going to grab a card. That one, great.
Yep.
Show the camera. Drop it back.
Yep.
And you remember the card, yeah?
Yep.
Great. Now I'm just going to start dealing cards face up like this. All I want you to do in a minute is just tell me stop.
Okay.
And you can tell me stop any way you like.
Stop.
Right here?
Mhm.
Okay. Now you stopped me on the 3.
I
So
did.
you could stop me on the 9, could stop me anywhere.
Mhm.
Does that number mean anything to you?
Not especially.
All right, let's try this. 1, 2, 3. Third card. And the diamonds.
Yeah. Very nice.
There we go.
Awesome.
Okay, welcome to the explanation. This trick is a really lovely one. It's called The Educated Cards. As far as I know, it was first published in the Royal Road to Card Magic by Gene Hugard and Frederick Browie. It's really clever, but really easy. And all that being said, I think it still could fool magicians. It's that good. So how does it work? Well, the way I'm going to describe it today is simply the way that I prefer doing it. If you read it in the Royal Road to Card Magic, the explanation will differ slightly, but I'm going to teach you the way I do it. I just think, for me, it's a lot simpler this way. So, this trick uses a 12-card arrangement. I think it's 12 at least. And this arrangement doesn't look on the surface at a glance like any kind of arrangement, but there is a pattern. And that pattern is, we have 3, as we call them, indifferent cards, 3 random cards, and then we have 9, and then we have random card, 7, random card 5, random card 3, random card ace. And these are the key cards here. These are the important ones. So we just got to arrange this beforehand. It doesn't matter what suit, as long as we have a 9, a 7, a 5, a 3, and an ace, and then we have the random cards dotted between them. We're good to go. So we get that set up. As I said, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 cards. We drop those on the bottom of the deck. That's how I start it. Okay, so once we have those bottom 12 cards in place, we can have a card selected, and they really can choose any card. We just want to make sure it comes from the top section of the deck and not these bottom 12. So we can kind of hold these, spread the rest. Again, 12 is quite a small amount, so we really can have a lot of freedom as to what we're given as options up here. If someone's really deliberate and taking a while, then we can just spread, close up, and then start spreading again from the top. But we don't want to place too much emphasis on this. We don't want to like overdo it. Just, hey, grab a card out, and they will 99% of the time just grab one of these top cards. Occasionally you get that one spectator that really wants to take a card from the deepest, darkest depths of the deck, in which case they might try and go for these bottom 12. Again, this trick, it won't work if they take one of these cards from those bottom 12, or it won't be anywhere near as simple. Actually, I've never tried it with that happening because, as I said, 99% of the time that won't happen, but just something to be aware of. So let's say they've chosen a card, so it's this one. The card is the King of Hearts, obviously we don't know that. So wherever they've grabbed the card, I let them take the card out, and then I kind of square up these packets so that they're 2 square packets, and then I will put this hand forward first, because what I want to end up happening is these 12 cards end up on top of the card. If they were just to place the card back where it came from, then it would be these top cards would go on top and 12 cards would still be at the bottom. And that's if we'd given them the original packet, that the original bottom half of the deck. But while they're looking at that card, if we kind of like loosely bring these back and then put this one forward, it's a very subtle moment. People aren't going to think much of it. They're just going to put the card back. It feels like, yeah, it's going back in the middle. And because we were shuffling before, it just feels this deck is kind of mixed up anyway. It doesn't really matter. Let's just put it back. Then we square it up. That ensures that the card is going to go above this 12 card stack. And then we simply want to, at this point, know roughly how deep in the deck it is. So if it was a smaller packet here, that means that we have, a few cards at the top before we get to that 12 card stack. We want to be aware of that, because what I'm going to do now is give the deck a little bit more of a shuffle, and all I'm doing is move in enough cards from the top to the bottom so that I don't have to deal as many cards before I start dealing into my 12 card stack. So if I was to start dealing from the top, I'm going to have to deal a while before I get to this stack. But if I shuffle, then I can shuffle off a good number of cards, and then I only have to deal not as many cards. I mean, that's still like a few cards, but not as many before I get to the first card of the stack. So yeah, we're just estimating how deep it is so that then we can shuffle off cards but not too many, so that we still have the stack intact. And then we can deal a few cards, and in that case it was pretty close, but we do have one random card and then the first 3 cards of the stack, which are also random, and then we have the 9, so on. So now the stack of cards is somewhere closer to the top. Let's say maybe we didn't shuffle off quite as much because we were playing it safe and we have it down here. All we're going to start doing now is, as you saw in the performance, we're going to deal cards, and we're basically going to explain to the spectator what they're going to do as we deal the cards. And this serves a really nice purpose, because if we tell the spectator, whenever you want, say stop, and then we deal, they could stop us during these initial cards that aren't part of the stack. However, if we explain as we're dealing, it means they're not going to stop us on these cards, but it creates the impression that there were really many cards they could have stopped on. They saw so many cards go by. So basically the timing on this is I explain as I'm dealing, and then once I see the first card of my stack, that's when I sort of tail off. But again, I still don't want to stop right here, because if you remember, the first few cards of our stack aren't relevant. They were just that initial buffer zone. We just happen to have a slightly bigger buffer zone because we also have these other cards that were still on top after the shuffle. So, but once I see this card, I know that I'm into the stack. And so I can say, just tell me stop whenever you want, and I can deal these ones fairly fast. And again, I'm just making sure they don't stop me on these. But really, it's from the 9 onward that they're going to be saying stop. We deal in, and then they can say stop anywhere within this stack. And we are eventually going to show them one of these odd cards, either the 3, the 5, the 7, the 9, or the ace. It's going to work one of 2 ways. Either they will stop us so that this card is the face-up card that's currently being shown, or they will stop us, for example, here, so that the card on top of the deck is the odd card. And all we do is we just present it slightly differently depending on when they say stop. If they say stop here, then we draw attention to the 5 and we say, you stop me on the 5. And then we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that'll be the card. But if they stop here, okay, you stopped here on the 3. And then we just show the card on the top of the deck and we do the same thing. 1, 2, 3. That's the card. So in all honesty, that is really it. It's very simple. They just stop us. As long as they say stop somewhere within this bank of cards, it's going to work. And that's just because of how we have it set up with the 9, 7, 5, 3, and the ace. Ace obviously being equal to 1 in this scenario. You might be wondering, well, how do you know they're going to stop us within this stack of cards? That's a valid question. I think most of the time they will, simply because as long as we just tell them, just say stop, and we don't over-emphasize, you could just wait as long as you want, and you can wait all day and then tell me stop. If we just say, hey, tell me stop, they're not going to wait ages before they tell you stop. And so it's usually, and you can also control the pace of your dealing, how slow versus fast you're dealing, and it's usually going to be within that grouping of cards. Especially if you, right about here is when you say, so you're dealing, okay, tell me stop whenever you want, and then boom, boom, we deal these 2 fast. So we've already, because it already feels like we've been dealing for a while, so it already feels like there's a lot of options, and now they're going to be like, yeah, let's just say stop somewhere here. But the beautiful thing is they weren't going to stop us on these anyway, because we hadn't finished explaining yet. So most of the time, if we manage this correctly, they will stop us within this grouping. But let me just show you real quick a little trick you can do if you deal past their card. So for example, you say, tell me stop, and they're just, for some reason, they just don't want to say stop, and they just really, really wait in. If you can tell it's going to get to the point that this is going to happen, don't make a big deal out of it when you deal their card. Just keep dealing, and just know kind of where it is, right? For example, here, I say, maybe I've been dealing these with hearts here, and I just know it's about here. Keep dealing. I'm not going to make a big deal out of this, but I now know the value of their card, which, as far as they know, I shouldn't be able to know it because I didn't look at it. I shuffled the deck. They don't know about this stack of cards that was in that secret position. So as far as they know, there's no way I should know it's the King of Hearts right now. Then I can keep dealing, and then maybe they say stop here, right? Okay, you stop me in a random location. What are the odds that the next card I turn over is your card? Like, how impressed would you be if the next card I turn over is your card? Or what do I win if the next card I turn over is your card? And what we're doing here is we're actually transitioning into a different trick from the Royal Roads card magic called the Circus card trick. Again, also from Gene Hogard and Frederick Browey. And the Circus card trick is simply a very similar trick to this. It's where we know the identity of the card that comes before their card. We deal through, note where their card is, keep dealing, stop, and then say, what's the odds the next card I turn over is your card? And we create this kind of impossible bet scenario where the spectator thinks there's no way because they've already seen their card. So they're going to play along and say, oh, it'd be impossible. Or, like they kind of really play along because they just think there's no way. But then because we know where their card is, we do this funny little joke where we're holding this and we say, what's the odds the next card I turn over is your card? Then we put it back once they answer, and then we reach in, take their card, we turn it over. And that's obviously a really fun effect. As I said in the beginning, that's how I do this. That's just how I feel comfortable. I feel confident in the way that I handle cards and all this, that it's going to work out for me when I do it this way. If you would rather, you could follow the way that's taught in the Royal Road card magic. In that way, you end up with those 12 cards directly on top of the deck. And that way you can basically deal these first 3 indifferent cards as you explain, and then deal through these cards. And that way you can also deal slower because you know that you're already in that stack. And that might, again, make it more likely that they'll stop you, because if you're dealing slower, longer, more time can pass, but you're still within that stack. If you want to know the exact handling that they recommend to get those cards in that position and the way that they handle it, you can actually read that for free. We're going to put a link in the description below where you can actually sign up and you can get this trick that I just showed you along with 6 other beginner tricks completely for free. You'll find out exactly how they all work. Some really, really powerful ones in there, just like this one. And you'll also learn the exact handling that Gene Hogard and Frederick Browey use. So feel free to check that out. It's in the link below. Okay, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like I said, that was a very easy trick, not too complex, so hopefully this tutorial wasn't too long. If you enjoyed it and you want to learn more easy beginner tricks, click the link in the description. At that link, you will be able to learn another 6 incredible beginner tricks. One of them is the Circus card trick we talked about, but some of the others, you really want to check them out. You don't want to miss them. There's this great trick where the spectator shuffles the cards, riffle shuffles cards together, cuts somewhere, takes a card, puts it back. The conditions are absolutely, it should be impossible that you know what the card is, but you know what the card is. So that one's a really cool one, but there's plenty more. Some of the best, even though these are some of the easiest tricks, they are still some of the best tricks you can perform today, so highly recommend checking it out. Click the link in the description. Otherwise, subscribe, like, comment, let us know what you think, and we will see you in the next video.